So, to those girls on YouTube that tell you that they woke up and they're like perfectly fine and functioning, I don't know what kind of drugs they gave y'all because I woke up in pain. Hey y'all, I'm Tisha Marie. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure you click on that subscribe button before you start watching. And if you're already subscribed, then welcome back. So as you guys can see, today I'm going to be telling you guys about my experience getting a breast augmentation, a boob job. If you guys are interested in that, seeing how my experience went, the pros and the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly, then make sure y'all keep watching. I got my breast augmentation on April 14th. So it's been almost a full 2 months. I am not all the way fully recovered, but I feel fully recovered. All right, so a little background on why I decided to get a boob job. So basically, just to keep long story short, I was working with absolutely nothing. Now, I know a lot of girls say, well, I don't have any boobs, or, oh, I didn't have anything before I got my implants. When I tell y'all I had nothing, girl, I had nothing. Like, I'm talking flat as this wall behind me, flat as a board. When I say flat as a board, I mean it in the literal sense. Like, I had no fatty tissue in my boobs. I'm already very petite. If you guys have seen like any of my try-on hauls, you guys already know that I'm very petite, so I don't have a lot of fat on my body to begin with. I'm just naturally small. I didn't have any boobs, like, period. I did not have any boobs. So that was the main reason why I decided to get a breast augmentation. Do I love myself? Absolutely. Did I love myself before the breast augmentation? Absolutely, yes. Now, do I feel like it took me a while to like fully accept my body as it was? Yeah, it absolutely did. And to be honest with y'all, I had considered getting breast implants when I was like 17, 18. I know that's really young, but I knew what I wanted then, but I'm like, I'm still pretty young. Let me just wait and see, you know, if they're gonna come. And they didn't. Like, I thought about it again when I was like in my 20s before I had my son. I was like, I want to do it, but maybe not. Like, I think it was mainly just the thought of surgery that scared me. Like, I did not want to go under. First of all, I didn't want to go under anesthesia. Like, I didn't want to be on the table having someone cutting on me. So I was like, I'm a chill. But then I got pregnant with my son, and if you've had a baby, then you know your boobs naturally start to get bigger. So I'm like, I kind of like this. So my boobs got bigger. So before I had anything, I was a 32 double A, so nothing. Again, when I got pregnant, I was wearing like a 32 A. I was like a full A. So I had something there, finally. And after I had my son, like a couple days after, my boobs got huge. They hurt, but they looked good. So I'm like, damn, so this is what it's like to have boobs, huh? And then months later, all of that went away and I was right back to nothing. So I'm like, yeah, I want my boobs back. Like, period. I want my boobs back. So fast forward to now, I decided I'm a grown ass woman. I know what I want. I love my body. I know that I'm doing this for me, not for anybody else. I can afford it without like having to compromise anything else. And I'm just like, let me go ahead and do it. But let me tell y'all what really like pushed me over the edge to really do it. So one of my friends from high school, I saw that she had posted that she got her surgery done. She lives in the same state as me, but she's in a different city. It's like 2 hours away. So I think I texted her or DM'd her and I asked her about her experience, and she told me that everything went good, and she's like the same size as me. So I'm like, oh, okay, she's petite, like she looks good. Her boobs looked amazing. Shout out to Brittany if you're watching this. Hey girl. But yeah, her boobs looked amazing. So I'm like, damn, now I really want to do it. And it was just like seeing somebody that I knew, like I was familiar with, and she's like the same size as me. I could easily go to her surgeon, like she's 2 hours away. So I really started looking into it. I looked up her surgeon. all good reviews. I looked at all of the photos that he had done of breast augmentations. So fast forward, I went ahead and I set up a consultation. So my surgery center is in Columbus, Ohio. So I went there. My boyfriend went with me. And by the way, he's fully supportive of everything that I said that I wanted. I told him, I'm like, I really want to get my boobs done. And I was kind of back and forth with it, like when I mentioned it to him, and he's like, you should do it, like you'll look really good. He loves me the way that I was, but he was like definitely supportive of me getting it done. But yeah, so I went for my consultation and I talked with my patient consultant. She basically just asked me if I had any questions or anything. I didn't have like any crazy questions. All of my questions were on like complications, because that was the main thing that I was scared of outside of the surgery itself. I was afraid of getting any complications because I had seen girls talking about, you know, breast implant illness and the breast bottoming out, or their body's just rejecting the implants. And she's like, okay, so there is a very low percentage of that happening to you. But I don't want you to go into this with that mindset. I want you to be excited, because this is something to be excited about. Yes, it's very serious. It's a surgery. Obviously, it's serious. But I want you to be excited. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to chill. So I actually did talk to the surgeon himself that day too. Basically, he came in and told me everything that I had already knew, because like I told you guys, I did do extensive research. So he just went through everything with me. I asked him about what size I should get. They do encourage you to bring photos of like how you would want your boobs to look as far as like size, just to see if that is something that they can do for you. And I showed him the photos. The photos that I showed him, I thought were like a full B, because that's what I was going. I was going for like a full B, small C type of look. Like I didn't want anything crazy, or I thought I was going for a full B, small C. So when my surgeon looked at the pictures, he's like, no, that's a full C. Like, that is not a small B. That's a full C, girl. So obviously I had no idea what the hell I was talking about. That day, I also got to try on the actual implants. So when you go for your consultation, you do get to try on implants. They'll give you like a sports bra type of situation, and they'll put different implants on the table based on what you tell them that you want as far as sizing goes, and they'll let you try them on inside of the bra. So I did that, and I looked in the mirror, and I think like the first one that I tried on, I want to say it was like a 375 or 400, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, it looked huge, and I'm like, no, I don't want like huge titties, absolutely not. So I took those off, and then I just started like sizing down. And originally I'm like, okay, I like the 250 size, like 250. I thought that looked good. Mind you, I did not put my shirt on over it. I just had on the sports bra with the implants inside of it, and I was kind of like turning to the side, looking straight on. I'm asking my patient consultant, like, what do you think? Do these look good? And I'm like, all right, I think I want to go with 250. 250 is great. They write me down for 250 and everything. Then she brought in the paper showing me like the cost of everything broken down. Altogether, the cost was $6,295. That included everything. Well, I signed everything, and she's like, all right, well, I'll call you and confirm the date and everything, and once I do that, you can pay your deposit and we'll set you up with like pre-surgery date. So I get in the car and I tell my boyfriend, I'm like, so I think I'm gonna go with the 250 cc's. And he's like, 250 cc's? Like, what the hell are you doing? Basically, that's what he's like. I can tell by the look on his face. He's like, no, like, why don't you go a little bit bigger? I'm like, no, I want 250 cc's. I don't want to be walking around with big titties, blah, blah, blah. Like, you just a man. You want me to be walking around with big double D's? Like, no, I'm not going bigger. So I'm like, I got my mind made up. That's just that on that. So I go home. And of course, I started looking up girls that got 250 cc's. And I'm like, maybe he was right. Like, I hate to say it, but maybe he's right. Maybe I should go a little bit bigger. All right, so I go back for my pre-surgery day, and I tell my surgeon, I'm like, I think that I want to go up a little bit bigger in sizing. I want to do 300 cc's. I'm like, what do you think? Do you think I should stay with 250 cc's? And he looks at me, he's like, 250 cc's is not really, like, it's really basically not really worth it. And I'm like, why you ain't tell me this when I told you that I wanted 250 cc's before? So I tried on the 300. Actually, I tried on 350 again first, and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, still this is too big. So I tried on 325, and then I tried on 300. I'm like, I like the way 300 looks. Like in the bra, it looked a little bit big, but it didn't look too big. So I'm like, I have to think I'm getting it under the muscle, so it's going to take away from some of the volume of the implant. So it's not going to look humongous or anything. So yeah, I finally decided on the 300 cc's. I paid my $200 deposit, and then he told me that I needed to get with my primary care doctor so I could get surgery clearance. Basically, all she did was like a wellness check. She didn't do anything crazy. Like, I thought that I was probably going to have like an EKG. She did do some blood work, so I had to have labs done. My labs came back fine. I didn't have to have a coronavirus test, which I thought was very odd because we're still in a pandemic. All of the videos I had seen on YouTube, they all had to have a coronavirus test. More on that later, because girl, I almost got coronavirus right after my surgery. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. I had to get, my surgeon called in my prescription. So they call in your prescription before your surgery date so that you have all of your meds and everything ready before your actual surgery. And by the time you're out of surgery, you don't have to like go to the pharmacy or anything to get anything filled. So I had all of my meds. I picked up the antibacterial wash that you have to have like the night before surgery. I had my hair braided and everything because I already knew like I'm not gonna really be able to have like range of motion with my arms. I was barely able to sleep because of nerves and because of excitement. So my whole way to surgery, I was so nervous, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I was super nervous. I was very quiet in the car with my boyfriend. My boyfriend drove me. It was very early in the morning. My surgery was like at 9 o'clock. It was like 8 or 9 o'clock. So we were on the road very early. And the whole way there, I'm just thinking of everything bad that could happen. I'm like, oh my God, what if I die on the table? What if I have complications? What if this? What if that? I finally get there. They hooked me up to an IV. They were hydrating me and everything because I couldn't drink anything that morning. Like, I couldn't drink anything after midnight from the previous night. So I hadn't drank anything. I was very thirsty. I was pretty hungry, but it was really early, so I wasn't like that hungry. I'm sitting in the chair while I have my gown on and my compression socks and everything, and I'm sitting in like this really nice comfy chair. The room is really nice and everything is fine. So next she starts telling me like, okay, I'm gonna give you these pills. Some of them, I can't even remember what all of the pills were for. Some of them were like for before the surgery, and some were actually for after, like for pain, so that I wouldn't have to take too many medications like once I got home after the surgery. When I tell y'all, like, she gave me this little paper cup, and I kid you not, it had like 10 pills in there, and I'm like, this bitch is trying to kill me. And so I'm like looking in the cup, and I'm looking at her, and I was like, this is a lot of pills. She's like, yeah, it's a lot of pills, it's fine, but it's just so that you don't have to take your medicine like after you get home, blah blah blah, you'll be comfortable. And I'm still thinking in my mind like, nah. So I go ahead and I take all the pills. I don't take medicine unless I absolutely have to. Like, if I have a headache, I'll wait until it's like so bad that I can't function before I take medicine. So to take 10 pills at once, I'm like, girl, what? So I get in the surgery room, and it literally looks like an operating room. That's what it is. There's the table in the middle that you lay down on. There's like these big bright lights right above the table, and they're like, okay, go ahead and get up on the table. And I literally had to like lay back on the table, and my arms had to be out to my sides so they could strap them down and put the extra medicine in me. So When I tell y'all that I was shaking like a leaf, girl, I was shaking like uncontrollably. And it was not from the medicine, it was literally because of nerves. I was shaking so hard that I was like shaking the table. I was embarrassed, but at the same time, I was so nervous. So I'm laying out on the table like this, and then they're like asking me questions like, oh, what do you do for work? Oh, do you have kids? The last thing that I remember was telling them what I did for work, and they asked how long I was with the company that I work for, and I told them. And after that, it was lights out. And it seemed like immediately after that, I was waking up in a wheelchair, and they were like putting my jacket on me. Like, I was in the wheelchair, they were about to wheel me out, and my boyfriend was like already there. I was in a lot of pain. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was in a lot of pain, to the point where like my boyfriend was standing right here to the side of my wheelchair, and I'm like leaning on the wheelchair, like the side of it, kind of trying to like lean on him. And I started crying. So to those girls on YouTube that tell you that they woke up and they're like perfectly fine and functioning, I don't know what kind of drugs they gave y'all, but they can get that to me, because I woke up in pain. So I don't really too much remember the ride home. And now that I think about it, it's because they gave me those Percocets. So they told me to take those every, I want to say it was like every 4 hours. And y'all, those Percocets work like nobody's business. So me taking Percocets, it was like every time I took one, literally like 5 to 10 minutes later, I could not stop myself from going to sleep. And I did not like that feeling. I literally felt like I was on drugs, because I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't function taking this medicine. So I only took those for the first 2 days, and after that I was done. So if you are like me and you watched a lot of YouTube videos, most of the girls were saying like, oh, like day 2 or day 3 is the worst day, but after that I fell back to normal. That was not the case for me. None of what they're saying applied to me. So that's why I'm here to give y'all the tea. But everything just felt very, very tight. Like, I don't know if you've ever had something be swollen before to where it felt like your skin was going to explode. That's how my boobs felt. Another thing was I was not taking stool softeners. They do encourage you to do that because the Percocets and the anesthesia make you constipated. I got constipated. And when I tell y'all that it got so bad that I looked like I was 5 months pregnant, I am not joking. My stomach was so big, and it got so bad that my stomach started to hurt. Like, it started to hurt just as bad, if not worse, than my boobs. So I'm like, okay, something gotta shake. So I started taking the stool softener every few hours. That didn't do nothing. I drank some Smooth Move tea because I saw a few girls say I drank the Smooth Move tea. Everything was fine after that. I had a bowel movement. Girl, I drank the Smooth Move tea. I did not have a bowel movement. So my mom was like, well, maybe you should have some prune juice. So she went and got me this big bottle of prune juice, and I drank a cup of that. So at this point, I've had stool softeners every few hours. I've had Smooth Move tea, and I've had prune juice. Eventually, I did end up having a bowel movement after like day 5. And my stomach was still swollen. I just want titties. I ain't signed up for no stomach. I signed up for titties, not this. Rewind a little bit. So day 2, my boyfriend started to feel sick. So we lived together. I was sleeping downstairs on the couch, and he was like back and forth to Home Depot because he was like fixing the toilet or something. I don't know what he was doing because I was out of it. So I'm like, maybe it's just allergies, but something in the back of my mind told me, like, put on a mask. He didn't have a cough or anything, but he said that he just didn't feel right. His head was hurting, and he felt like extremely tired. And his head, he never gets a headache, and he almost never gets sick. But he's like, no, this is different. Like, I feel really, really tired. Like, and the next morning, I'm like, so how are you feeling? He's like, I still feel the same. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead and put on my mask. I'm like, well, do you think that maybe it's COVID? I'm like, I'm gonna call my mom so she can come and get Kingston and me. Kingston is my son. Like, we could go to her house for a while and you go get tested. Before I had my surgery, my plastic surgeon did tell me, I remember him telling me that if you happen to get coronavirus after you get your surgery, it could end up being way worse than had you had not gotten surgery. So basically, it could be fatal. So I'm like, oh my God, I hope he does not have COVID, because if he does, we've been around each other, in each other's faces. We kissed that day. I mean, we rode to and from the surgery center in the same car for hours. So if you have it, I probably have it. So I'm like hoping and praying to God that he doesn't have COVID. My boyfriend goes and gets tested, and it comes back that he has COVID. I was like, oh my goodness. If you have coronavirus, then I probably have it too. So, needless to say, myself and my son quarantined because I can't go anywhere anyway. So we quarantined, and we didn't end up experiencing any symptoms whatsoever. Absolutely none. No fever, no nothing. So thank God for that. I honestly felt like that was a miracle. God was looking out for us. I don't know how we didn't get it, but thank God that we didn't. Fast forward to now. I have numbness? Yes, I do have numbness. At first, I did not have any numbness. Everything just felt extremely sensitive. So I had to wear my surgery bra 24/7 every single day for like the first 4 weeks. But when I would take my bra off, like to shower or just to change it, it was the most uncomfortable feeling ever. Like, it felt like pins and needles all over my breast, and it did not feel good. I did not see anybody talking about that. Like, that was one of the cons. Like, it felt so uncomfortable that I'm like, I want the bra back on. I don't even want to take the bra off. A couple of weeks later, I started to experience numbness. So the top of my breast, I have full feeling. It feels normal, but my nipples became numb, and everything below my nipples was numb. Like, even now, like my nipples, I can feel my nipples have feeling, but it's like a hypersensitive type of situation to where, like, this shirt right now rubbing against my nipples, like, they're very sore. So I like to wear my bra. I have to go without it sometimes just so they can like settle in and drop and everything. And I told my the nurse about it, and she's like, that's normal. They'll go back to normal probably in like 6 months. So yeah, I do have sensation in my nipples, but underneath I still feel nothing, and she said that's normal too. So my first shower, that's something that I do want to warn y'all about. My first shower, so uncomfortable that I didn't want to shower again. This was my first time taking my bra off post-surgery, so it was like 3 days. They say you can shower after 2, but I tried to after 2, and I'm like, no way, absolutely not. As soon as I took my bra off, girl, it was like the pins and needles feeling. The worst part was it felt like my implants were gonna fall out of my body. Like, I know that sounds crazy and it sounds illogical, but it literally felt like my titties were gonna fall out of my body. So I was like kind of like hunched over in the shower trying to get myself clean, and still like trying to hold on to my titties so that the implants wouldn't fall out. It did get better as the days went on, but showering was just like, I was never looking forward to taking a shower. The first couple of weeks, they're very hard. They're very high. When I first got mine done, my implant was literally sitting here. I'm gonna insert a picture over here to the left so y'all can see what I'm talking about. And yeah, so y'all can see it for yourself. And not only do they sit like all the way up here, but they're not round. They are very square. They were kind of like flat and square. Like, I don't know. They were like rectangular sponges on my chest. It was just Girl, it was a mess. Like, in a bra, in my sports bra, they looked okay. But when I took that bra off, I'm like, these titties is ugly. Like, take these titties back. But as the weeks went on, everything started to settle and they got better. So I'm going to show you guys. I don't have on a bra right now, but my top is kind of open. So everything is looking a lot better now. And my incisions looked really good. Like, I was very impressed with how my incisions looked. If you can see, like right there, that's my incision. I feel pretty good now. As far as recovery went, it was not easy for me. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. It was not easy for me. I could not lift anything. I was still moving very, very slow. So if you're expecting for your surgery to be smooth sailing, just know that it's not like that for everybody. Another thing, I feel like I wasn't mentally prepared as I should have been for my recovery, and I feel like a lot of that had to do with the YouTube videos that I watched with everybody saying, oh, it was really easy recovery with smooth sailing, and that's kind of what I expected for myself, and that's what I was hoping for myself. And being that that's not what I was going through, I kind of started feeling bad mentally. It started to kind of take a left turn for me. I remember it was like day 10. I was texting my boyfriend because I was still at my mom's house. And he's like, well, do you regret getting the surgery? And I'm like, kind of. And honestly, at that point, I did kind of regret getting it because I just was not feeling like myself. Like, I was tired of laying around all day. I was tired of not being able to do anything for myself. That, in addition to the fact that I was feeling all of this pain that I wasn't expecting to feel at that point, I was just like, why did I do this? But I allowed myself to feel down about it that entire day. And the next day, I'm like, okay, I gotta shake this off. And I started just like getting up, trying to walk around more, trying to move my arms more, very slowly, but still just like trying to get back into the swing of things. There were days where I felt like, okay, I did too much and I was hurting more than normal and I was tired. It was like week 3 or 4. I tried to just walk up the street and I couldn't do it. I just had to take it slowly and just keep my mind positive. So if you have the same experience that I had, just know that it will get better, girl. You're not gonna feel like that forever. Like, now I feel good. I don't really feel the implants inside of me. It feels very soft now, and they said after like between like 3 and 6 months they'll get even softer. They don't shake yet, so I'm like, damn, are my titties gonna shake, or are they just gonna be stiff forever? Like, my titties, they don't move. But yeah, they don't move. They're very soft though, so I'm hoping that as they soften up and my skin starts to like accommodate them more, that they will jiggle like normal boobs do. Yeah, that's all that I can think of. If you guys have any questions at all about my experience, just anything in general about my surgery, my post-care, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to answer you guys' questions. I'm hoping that the information that I'm giving you was helpful to you, because I know there is a lot of information out there and everybody's experience is different. Like I said, my experience was nothing like anybody else's that I saw. So yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Love you guys. And I will see you next time. Bye.